All right, guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm absolutely delighted to say that I've been joined by another Gooner. Delighted to say that Kenny Ken is my guest on tonight's Old School Gunner Fan Cam. Welcome along, man. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been like the year started off quite depressingly because we played well but lost to Man City. Then we had the League Cup debacles, had the Spurs game cancelled, and got knocked out by Liverpool eventually. Had the Burnley game, and in February, albeit we've only had about how many games we've had? We had about a few games, but we're in the results business. We won all the games. Some Wolves. The Wolves games were a bit hard, tricky. Brentford was for me. Brentford didn't come to play football, and Watford was one of those games where I think the scoreline flattered Watford.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you. Arsenal looked well on top in that game. We had a lot of good chances, and it was the swiftness of the attacks. The attacks were very good. I mean, Odegaard, for me, he's grown a lot. He's developed a lot. But I'm going to start that off and just by saying Kenny Ken has an Instagram, guys. Check him out on his Instagram. He can plug it away there if he wants. I'd like to thank him for joining the show, of course. Hello to Joanne. Thank you for those
comments. Joanne.
For tuning in. I don't know, do you know Joanne that well, but yeah, you might know her a bit. She tunes in on my channel a little bit. I think she tunes in a lot to Arsenal. But yeah, I'm just going to ask you anyway to start, just to kick things off. How do you feel the season has gone so far? I mean, when you think of last year, just before the season started, just coming into August, how do you feel the season has gone now? I mean, what were your thoughts before the season started? And what are your thoughts on it?
Well, you know what? The season was horrendous. It started off really badly. Collectively, every Arsenal fan, were like me, who has never been convinced by Arteta and probably never will be. Then we had the Norwich game, which probably turned things around for Mikel in terms of like how for fans who were sat on the fence, it turned things around because we got a bit of form, and then Liverpool happened, and then the Man United and Everton games, not so much Man United, but Everton, which never had lost. So you kind of turn towards well, not me, but fans who were wavering. Were up and down with Mikel. But if you look at the situation, is that one of the things is that a lot of unforeseen circumstances have led to players who just come out of nowhere and putting their hand up. We obviously knew about Saka and Smith Rowe, but Martinelli, with his injuries, he wasn't really getting in the team. But he's in the second half of the season, he's playing good football. And one of the biggest positives this season for me is the form of Thomas Partey. Because I say it once, say it 1,000 times. He's our best player. He's our most experienced player. He's probably our most decorated player in what he's won. And there's no doubt in my mind that Arsenal have been beginning to, get better results when he's in the team and when he's fit and healthy. There's a lot of talk of amongst Arsenal fans, especially fans who have bigger profiles than both of us. They tend to go down the angle that Granit Xhaka is our midfield, which is a mistake. He's not our midfield. Our midfield is bare without Thomas Partey. You have to look at the games when Thomas Partey wasn't playing, when Thomas Partey was first and foremost when he was in Africa with the Cup of Nations, and then when he got suspended after the Liverpool when he got sent off when he was trying to help the team. When Thomas Partey's not in our midfield, that's when we suffer. People talk about Odegaard's emergence as well, and he has been playing better football. He's been playing really well. So, but the glue that links it all together is Thomas Partey. But you've got to mention the goalkeeper. He's brought confidence to our defence and confidence around the group. Ben White,
he's been, you know what? Sorry to interrupt you there, but he made me. He made me eat my words at the start of the season, because I was very skeptical about him. Sheffield United, he had been relegated a couple of times. There was a lot of bad press coming in about him, but he made me eat my words. You know what I mean? He caught my words about him. I was negative about him, and he rammed those words down my throat, literally. His performances, I mean, his communication with the back four I mean, he's like a general in the army, the way he commands it.
Mm.
And for a young guy, man, he's doing his thing. I mean, he's a young man. He's a young man.
Definitely.
I'm very impressed
But
with him.
he's not.
Yeah, he's been a breath of fresh air compared to Bert Leno, with all due respect to Leno.
Mm.
And incredible.
But the thing with Ramsdale, in footballing terms, he's actually a very experienced footballer. Because because despite the fact that he played in teams like Bournemouth who got relegated and Sheffield United got relegated, that is Premiership experience, where it's the kind of the different end of the spectrum. Where Bournemouth struggled. Obviously, they struggled because they got themselves relegated. Although they should never have gotten themselves in that situation, but they kept dropping points that kept at the wrong time. Sheffield United, the minute they lost all their their main centre halves and their main midfielders, they couldn't play that sort of system that took everyone by surprise. So Ramsdale was going to get a lot of action. So I understand the scepticism from yourself and a lot of Arsenal fans who's why are we getting a guy that's been relegated twice for his club? But what I was looking at was the fact that he was hungry. He wanted to play for Arsenal.
Yeah.
He thought he should be the number one. He didn't come here to be Arsenal number two. He came here to challenge Leno for his shirt and take it off him.
Yeah.
For me, I want players who are hungry and are looking at themselves in order to better themselves by playing for Arsenal. So that's why I wasn't too against the signing of Ben White as well, because I've heard good things about Ben White, albeit from the fact that he's playing a back three. But I thought that he could develop into a very, very good defender. But in terms of like the midfield, I was lukewarm about Odegaard. And I suppose he's turned it around to a certain extent. He's playing better football, but there were other players I want in front of him. But the midfield situation still is going to cause me a bit of concern. But if you want to talk about how the season's going on, it's hard to address this season or even, like, how do I say it? Give us kind of an assessment until the end of the season. The reason why is because we haven't played Liverpool at home. We haven't played Spurs away where we never win. We haven't played Chelsea away. And, we haven't played the North London derby. We haven't played Man United as well, which I still think is a 6-pointer. I think you can assess those Arteta's reign, not so much his reign, but Arteta's season when those games happen, because everyone says, right, we're 1-0, we're 1 point above Man United with 3 games in hand, but our 3 games in hand are against Liverpool.
They're not points on the board. They're not points on the board.
Yeah, and who I believe will come to win. They need to win. And that's going to be a massive test. And you've got the North London derby, massive. Chelsea, traditionally, if you take away the fact that we won the double last season against them, traditionally we struggled. Chelsea always turn up, especially at their ground. So these
are a very good team. They have a very good team, man.
Definitely. So although people say, we can lose all those games and still get top 4. Yeah, you can. But those are the kind of games that, kind of stand out. But let's not forget the fact that we're playing Villa under Steven Gerrard away, and we've got Palace away under Patrick Vieira. They're both very, very competitive games, which can divide us. In fact, they're probably, in terms of like motivationally, more difficult than the games I've mentioned. Where you're playing a very, very good Chelsea team that is the world champions and the European champions and European, Super Cup holders, and you've got Liverpool as well, who are going for the league, going for the quadruple. So you've got to get me up the games. And Spurs away, we need to redress poor record away from them. But Patrick Vieira has done a fantastic job with Palace. Steven Gerrard, they've got a lot of creativity. They've got pace in their team. So they're the type of teams, Crystal Palace and Aston Villa, can give us a bloody nose.
They're a handful. Palace especially are a handful. I've been, of course, I'm a Patrick Vieira fan. That goes without saying.
We all are, aren't we?
You know what I mean? He's a legend. Unlike Arteta, he's actually an Arsenal legend. His last kick for the team, of course, was in that FA Cup final against Man United back in 2005. We'll never forget that. That's the quality you guys were talking about.
That's Roy Carroll penalty.
Yeah, that's Roy Carroll. United dominated that game, in fairness, but we won in
They
the end.
murdered us. I was there at the game.
They battered us, yeah. They battered us. They really had a go at us, but we won in the end.
But, that was revenge. That was revenge for the fact that it wasn't revenge against Man United. But if you think about the league FA Cup final 4 years before, when I was there as well, when we lost Liverpool 2-1, we backed Liverpool. We destroyed them.
And then Michael Owen turned up.
Exactly. So, it kind of evens itself out. We got lucky in 2005, but we were unlucky in 2001.
Yeah. It kind of balanced itself out, yeah. But we've had a lot of luck in the Cup recently, even a couple of times with Arteta. But, man, the one performance that stands out for me that was a real sickener was that Europa League semi-final against Villarreal and Unai Emery. The performance at the Emirates was absolutely, my God.
We were naive. We were naive in the way we played in both games in terms of defensively. And another thing as well, we're at a stage where it was a case of last season, it was like, give the ball to Saka and he'll try and win it for us.
Yeah.
It was not so much like evidence-based as it this season, because there's other players that come to the party. But last season he was our main man, and
the
once
focal point,
they cancelled him out. We'll never beat them, and to that purpose, Arteta's remit was to get us back in the top four. Well, that's what I thought it was. So with him not even getting us into Europe and missing out on that, you have to call him. Myself, Lee, Jez, and all of us were demanding for it to be removed. But if you ask myself and Lee, we felt that we wanted more experience rather than Mikel on a job, and that really hasn't changed because if you look at the return that we, Mikel's have at the moment, if you want to count the season, one of the things is that those are really good results for Crystal Palace, Queen's Park Rangers, for West Ham, and for Aston Villa. But for Arsenal Football Club, that those are not the right returns that we should be celebrating. But what Mikel has, at his disposal in his favour is the fact that the narrative around the football club is youth project and trust the process. And or if you want to sort of like link them in, he's building something that is for the future and that we have to exercise some patience.
Yeah, I agree with you. Man, I mean, I myself, I'm just going to talk openly. I'd be Mikel Arteta out. It's nothing personal against him. I'm just going to say I don't go off like a raving lunatic about a half-cocked. But I just honestly feel for the younger players at the club and some of the more senior players like Lacazette, he could be leaving now after this season, it looks like. But I just think that we need another manager, an actual out-and-out football manager, which I don't think Arteta is, just to take the team to the next level. I think the likes of course, the fantastic Smith Rowe, like you mentioned about Saka last season, Martinelli, guys like that. I'm going to get to the Aubameyang situation maybe later. We can talk about that, him leaving the club, back to his best at Barcelona. But for us, I mean, with Arteta, I just think that he can't take us on to that next level where we need to be, even to challenge for the league. I think
that has to be the next level.
Yeah.
It has to be next level because, like Jones asked about the Leicester game. I neglected to talk about the Leicester game because that is a massive test. Even though Jamie Vardy is injured as such, that is a competitive game. And again, it's one of those games that can give us a bloody nose. But, in terms of like, your thoughts on Arteta, it's not him personally. It's where you want to go with the football club. Because, the gods are saying, or the soothsayers amongst our football people saying that we've got a very, very an excellent chance of getting a top four. Excellent chance. So what's happening now is that the narrative is that, everything's all right. All right at home, and that we should stick with Arteta. There's going to be a lot of. I predict that if we get top four, there's going to be a lot of disappointment if we're not getting better players, if we're not enhancing the squad that we already have, if we're not taking that level and said, right, we're in the top 4, let's try and win the Champions League. Let's try and go for the
do something, do something in it.
Because what will happen right now is that fans like myself are going to be very disappointed and frustrated because I'm not accepting the narrative we're going to get that, well, if we get in the top 4 a few seasons, or we get there one season or get a European Cup, it's still good. I'm still going to back the manager. I'm thinking, well, why? Or are you not looking forward? Why does there always have to be an excuse that we had with Arsene Wenger at the helm that we were getting top 4, and it wasn't making a difference because we weren't getting the top players. We weren't aiming high enough. We were just happy to be there. And I don't want a situation, if we do get top 4, that it's going to be the same old lot we had under Arsene, because that would be going backwards.
Yeah, it would.
Because one of the narratives is we cleared the decks, cleared the fringe players, got rid of players who weren't doing it for us. So the narrative is now we're going to have more money because we're not going to be paying Lacazette's wages already. So we're going to have a massive, massive war chest. So if we're going to have a massive, massive war chest, then I say it's a great respect the players we've got even now. There's nothing wrong with upgrading that team. And that could be a fact player. For instance, I would like an upgrade on Tommy Asu at right back. Not because I think he's a poor player. It's because I want, if we are going to challenge for you, for the Champions League, I want players in the mould of Reece James and Trent Alexander out.
Well, we need to strengthen. Yeah, we need to strengthen those areas, and we want to be good enough.
As well. Whether we like it or not, Kieran Tierney had a very poor first half at Vicarage Road. Now you've seen a lot of that Kieran Tierney, to the extent that his standards have not been at the level of if they were in his first season, where be it under Unai Emery and Mikel, and
even last summer, last summer in the Euros, man, he played better for Scotland.
So what's happening, right? We want, is Tavares the answer? I'm not sure Tavares is the answer, but I would like an upgrade there. And the midfield, 100% we've got to get someone who can complement Thomas Partey, and Xhaka is not playing. And then, it's self-explanatory what needs to be done in terms of like our attacking options. You don't even need the whole show about it. You don't even need to talk about it. It's so obvious. It's even obvious to someone who probably doesn't even like football.
Yeah.
Or just likes it a bit. They'll know that, hang on here, you need to upgrade your attacking options.
Yeah, we do. Like we won the last day out 3-2. Okay, fair enough. And Ketia, he could easily have made it 4. We could have got 4-2 there. He hit the base of the post, but we have been struggling. We're not scoring enough goals. I think that's fair to say. The defence has been decent enough. Of course, the brilliant Ramsdale is marshalling the defence. There's been some good performances. Gabriel has been immense. But we definitely need more firepower. There's a question there coming in from Del Boy Gunner TV. Would you take Ancelotti as manager? What do you think about him?
Well, the thing is, the thing with people like Ancelotti is not going to be like a micromanaging coach in the way that Arteta is. He normally leaves that to his number 2, which is Paul Clement. He always takes Paul Clement with him. I don't know if Paul Clement's still gone with him, but coaches of that kind of caliber, and they do the coaching and they follow his ideas. And at his age, he tends to want players, big game players, who can make their own decisions on the field. So in terms of like having those kind of that coach, had we got Ancelotti in earlier, maybe a few years before, all day long. But because of the way he is now, it was evident at Everton that it wasn't. Even though he now you look at Everton, he did bloody well to get him 9th place, considering the rubbish they're providing us with now. was a genius to get him there because you know they are not. It was a miracle, but everyone thinks he's a poor boss because of the fact that he didn't finish above Arteta. So for me, no, you don't. You want a coach who's going to coach. You want someone who's gonna like a Ten Hag, who Man United want a lot, or you want Simeone, which is a lot of us who are not happy with Mikel and want him replaced. The keeps on coming up with Simeone, and you know the fact that he, in terms of what he's done at Atletico Madrid is a smaller club than Arsenal, much smaller club, but he's taken us to 2 Champions League finals, and he's won. He's managed to break the sort of duopoly of Real Madrid and Barcelona.
He has his teams playing with a real edge. I've seen them play a couple of times. I've seen Atletico play when they're actually losing, when they're behind. Yeah. And he has them go out literally for 10 minutes to kick the opposition. Now, I'm not saying I would condone that or think that he should do that if he came to Arsenal, but that's what they do when they're losing. Atletico, watch them the next time, man. They go up.
Well, Arsenal tend to do that as well. Right. Yeah. But
they play right on the edge of what's acceptable, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? Nasty.
He will touch that level. But if you want to, if you want to have this youth project, and you're going to have like a trust the process if you must, then the guy that you have to look at is Bobby Ten Hag, because he is the process manager. But with Ten Hag as well, you have to improve like your backroom. Not so much backroom thing, but you got to improve at director of football level. You got to improve at like the transfer committee level. You got to improve and make your academy as good as Chelsea's and Man City. That's
a lot of things need to change for the good, for the whole thing to kind of work. I know what you mean.
That's the thing, and that's the thing. Arteta, as far as I'm concerned, is doing work experience. I think Arteta is looking for something bigger than Arsenal.
That's exactly you took the words out of my mouth.
He's looking for something bigger than Arsenal. In my opinion, I think that Arteta, he sees this as, if he can get the Arsenal job,
a stepping stone.
Like get the Arsenal, get Arsenal to a level where they're either top 4 or just outside top 4. Then what will happen is that's his audition for Barcelona. His audition to replace Pep at Man City, because if he goes to Man City, let's take out Barcelona equation. If he goes to Man City, everything's there for him in place. The players are there. The infrastructure's there for him. The players know him. You know, one thing he'll have alongside that is managerial experience of 3 years. So, or maybe 4 years. It could be longer. But what will happen is that if he really wants to win the trophies and the big trophies and get in the Champions League finals, then we're not the club for him. So he's probably using a stepping stone. However, if we want to win these trophies that I want, he's not the manager for us. You know what I mean? So yeah, Joe's right. Mark Overmars, I know cancel culture that that is prevalent in like Western Europe may prevent him from getting a job because of the fact that he had to resign for non-footballing reasons.
Yeah, we were talking about Overmars for a while. I remember when the whole thing with Edu blew up. Edu was under the microscope for a long, long time there when the team were not going well, playing very badly at home. Everybody was mentioning how good Overmars was doing as director of football at Ajax. He'd been there for a couple of years. He had his finger on the pulse, and the team was moving forward rapidly, almost to the level of the old Ajax teams. Not quite, but they were getting there. But now all that's gone by the waste, unfortunately.
Cancel culture. Sorry, it's cancel culture.
Yeah. I mean, it's a real shame because I'm a real fan of Overmars. I remember him, of course, as a player. I'm old enough to remember him. He absolutely tormented teams, cup finals, Man United, Gary Neville, Peter Schmeichel. He never gave them a moment's rest. Incredible player, technically, tactically, everything. He had it all going on. I'm a big fan of his. That was a real disappointment, but these things happen in football, I suppose. I hope he can bounce back from that, but it is what it is at the end of the day.
The other thing is, I think football's changed from our day to a certain extent that as long as it was all about, getting 3 points on a Saturday. The players can do whatever they want. Anyone connected with football can do whatever they want because, as I said before, football was very accepting of a lot of off the field shenanigans and off the field misdemeanors. One of the things it wasn't accepting of, and like I say this great, though, it wasn't accepting of homosexuality. Everything else went except for homosexuality. Now, with now it's a case of like you have to be it's not just football, but it's sport today. Nowadays, you get coaches who are not even football, who are not just football coaches. Their mantra is, I don't want to just improve the player, I want to improve the person or people. You get a lot of that in cricket. You get so basically what's happening right now, they want you to be a better person and a better role model
as well as
the player. So what's going to happen is that all these sort of things that happen in football happened before that they kept quiet. It's not going to be acceptable. And social media, is another tool where, again, you're not going to, you can't get away with anything. Can't do anything.
And there's cameras everywhere now as well in football. It's like
cameras everywhere.
Everyone's got a mobile phone. Everyone's got a smartphone.
Exactly. Yeah. Everyone's
you know what I mean?
And what's happening right now is that there's no second chances. It's
not tolerated. It's not tolerated.
Not at all. Anything you do is cancelled. That's it. You lose your career, your family who rely on your wages, basically won't get that salary anymore because of one thing you've done. That's it. You're out. But the thing about it is that the fact about it is that people with football have got away with it. We only have to talk about 26 years ago.
Yeah. It's always been there. It's always been there.
26 years ago with Collymore and Gascoigne.
Stan Collymore, Stan Collymore was
and Gascoigne.
Yeah, and Gascoigne.
Yeah. Where or you look at the situation, Justin Fashanu. His only crime was that football turned his back on him because he came out.
Yeah, it's true what you say. That's been prevalent for a while. It's no laughing matter. But now these days, like with Overmars, I mean, one indiscretion, one false move. There's no place to hide these days with that kind of thing. I'm going to ask you, who would you like to see Arsenal sign like as a striker? I mean, I fancy Ollie Watkins. I think he's very good. He's got Premier League experience. He's a real handful. I mean, he's a very good forward, in my opinion. What do you think?
You know what? It's funny you say that. I was going through all the Europe's top strikers, and none of the ones who stood out was Lewandowski. And then all of a sudden, the most goals that you've seen around Europe is 16. Lautaro Martinez, or that.
And he scored yesterday.
You got Nkunku. You got player. You got Mbappe. You got who hasn't scored as many as we would like. If you look, and you've got Haaland as well. Haaland's had injury issues as well. But in terms of like players, it's hard to find someone who a top striker outside, Mbappe, Harry Kane, and Haaland. But if you want to go, British players, people. There's talk about Ivan Toney, but Ivan Toney, after his hat trick, he hasn't really been scoring goals regularly. And you got Ollie Watkins as well. He hasn't been scoring goals regularly, but he's been fit. And then you got Dominic Calvert-Lewin as well. Again, he hasn't really been fully fit. And even Harry Kane this season, he hasn't even scored 10 league goals. So in terms of what you want, in terms of potential. I would want Ollie Watkins because of the fact that
Yeah.
I do believe that we are better side than Aston Villa, and that we have players who
Feeding the ball.
create his openings for him. And I think if we are going to sort of like improve ourselves and try and challenge, then here's a player that you have to look at. You have to be looking at, a player like him. And I think Arsenal nowadays, I think the sort of players that we want, English players, will find it more easier to acquire them than the leading players in Europe, because you know what will happen if Man United, Man City, Liverpool, and Chelsea waved the checkbooks. We got no chance because
We can't compete with them. Yeah, we can't compete with them. No.
Yeah. But the reason why we can't compete them is not because of financial. It's because of the fact that all those teams are in the Champions League.
They have the pulling power. Yeah, they have the pulling power. Yeah,
pulling power. Liverpool won 6 Champions League titles. Man United, despite the fact that they're doing their best to destroy the club, a massive club. There's players that still want to go to Man United. Man City, Pep, and you've got Liverpool, Klopp. So basically, if you take away the fact that Chelsea are an established European power now because they won 2 Champions League, every player in Europe wants to play for Klopp and Pep. So we have to sort of look at the players around the Premiership and think, right, do our business quickly. Ollie Watkins, he's had 2 years experience in Aston Villa, done all right. Is he ready to play at a bigger club than Aston Villa and Arsenal? I think yes. That'd be the player I'm looking at. Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
He's good enough. He's good enough.
His fitness levels, unless we can keep him fit, then I'm not sure about it.
Yeah, I agree with you. But one thing I think about Arteta, I mean, I'm going back a long way now to the Arsene Wenger glory days. I remember them like you do. But Arteta, like, Wenger was kind of looking around France because he had the links to AS Monaco. He, of course, was at Nagoya Grand Place 8 in Japan before he came to Arsenal. Arteta doesn't seem to have links in Spain. I'm not saying that we have to go with the whole team Spanish, but he doesn't seem to have the links that Arsene Wenger had. Wenger had a lot of links.
I mean, it's hard because I think, one of the things you said was so right, that Arsene Wenger had the French market to himself.
Yeah.
He knew so basically what was happening is that the reason why he had it to himself, because Arsenal was a successful team, and it's Arsene Wenger. Someone asked me a question on Twitter about Arsene Wenger. I said, yeah, players at the time, even when he went in decline, still wanted to play for Arsene Wenger because of the memories of the good work he did in the sort of middle to the late 90s, early parts of the 20th century. Arteta, Wenger did a fantastic job. He acquired brilliant players. I mean, Petit and Henry played for him at Monaco. He knew about Nicolas Anelka. Yeah. So he knew, players like Will Tor wanted to play for him. Overmars, even though he didn't, he came from Ajax. Yeah. The fact that Arsenal were building something, and it was a case of there was none of this wretched trust the process. Arsene Wenger said, right, boom, boom, this is what I need. Let's go and challenge Man United. All of a sudden now is that fans and, the football consciousness are putting obstacles in our way because we're ambitious.
You remember he even got Gilles Grimondi. He got Remy Gard.
Like Remy Gard, almost sort of
bit players.
Yeah. Even half decent squad players like Bo Morte, who never really let us down. Obviously some of his buys weren't the greatest. It didn't work. But if you look at the core players that he brought to the football club, he got the best of France. I think what's happening right now is that competition is rife. People have seen what Arsenal have done, and they're now doing it. So you've got to remember one thing is that we always prided ourselves in having a really decent youth setup. You know what I mean? Now, what's happening is that with Abramovich building, buying Chelsea, and then getting Cobham, which is based on London Colney.
Yeah.
He's now copied us and got the best boys around London, but not just around London, around Europe.
Yeah.
So in that respect, that's where they've copied the Arsenal model and done it better.
Yeah,
Man
their
City,
marketing. I mean, Chelsea are a commodity. Their marketing is
Man City,
a great reputation. No.
Yeah, every the fact is that club. I don't care what anyone says. If you've got the most money and you're a billionaire and you want to win, then you're going to cover every eventuality. You're not just going to get the best players and the best manager. You're going to want to make sure that you've got the best academy, the best training ground, and you've got the best sporting director, the best director of football, and the best transfer negotiator because you want to stay at the top. Now, you look at Man City and Chelsea, they got both of that.
Yeah.
Liverpool are doing it organically because they got Klopp, but Klopp won't settle for the rubbish that we settle for at Arsenal. He wants 2 players in, 2 players out, and he wants them coming in. And he says, right, I'll give you the success. You give me that, I can get it again. And that's what's happened with Liverpool. They're not a Chelsea and Man City. They're actually like Arsenal, only that they got Jurgen Klopp and we got Arteta.
Yeah, Klopp is a fantastic coach. Even Chelsea have got a fantastic coach. They are, like, in my opinion, they are unfortunately at the moment light years ahead of us. We can't compete with that. It's even the coaching level, like you said, but all through the team. I mean, do you think it was a mistake to move to the Emirates Stadium? Should we have stayed at Highbury? Do you think that has made things better or not? I mean, we paid off the debt.
You say it's a mistake, but every club's doing it. Liverpool increased the size of Anfield. Man United, who are not in a residential area, always increased the size of Old Trafford from 60,000 to 75,000. Man City, used to be in like Moss Side, moved to the city of Manchester, but less residential, and they got 52,000 capacities. Newcastle got 52,000 capacity. Spurs left White Hart Lane. That was only over 38,000 to go to a 62,000 capacity stadium. So, in business-wise, Arsenal did make a mistake because they wanted to compete on a commercial level with Man United, and they have commercially. If you want to be self-sustaining, you have to have a massive stadium, and Arsenal do have a massive stadium. But in terms of having money to spend and trying to compete with them on the pitch, it was never about that with Arsenal. And Arsenal fans just have to accept that. When people say we knocked down Highbury to move because we were told we were going to compete. No, the narrative I was hearing even in '98 when it was first muted was we were moving, and even I suppose it happened during George Graham's time. But the narrative was when the Premiership started, Man United had a capacity of 52,000. They're an industrial area of South Manchester, and whilst they were always expanding their stadium, so it went from 54,000 to 60,000, and then it went over expanded to 75,000.
Yeah, they were building up.
Clubs like Arsenal weren't compete with that at Little Old Highbury. They had to. So from a commercial point of view, because football's about business, they had to increase the stadium. And if people don't agree with me, let's not forget that Abramovich realised that. And remember, 4 years ago he abandoned the expansion project at Stamford Bridge because he realised the same thing. So from a commercial point of view, it wasn't a mistake to move to the Emirates, because Arsenal, even if we stayed at Highbury for an extra 4 or 5 years, we're still going to move to the Emirates eventually.
At some point we had to. Yeah. At some point we had to.
Commercially, big clubs have to be in all city stadiums of 55,000 plus. It's inevitable. You can't compete financially off the pitch and be a self-sustained model without a big stadium that holds massive capacity.
Yeah, Atletico moved to the Wanda. I mean, the same thing there. Was at that
stage. One, because commercially they can't compete with the, when they were at the Vicente Calderon, they couldn't. They couldn't compete on a sort of commercial level with Barcelona, Real Madrid. So they had to move. Spurs had to leave White Hart Lane. Leicester. Remember, Leicester had to leave Filbert Street because they, in order to move to the King Power Stadium, which is called Walker Stadium. Every football club is going to have to do that. You know what I mean? The Everton, they're leaving Goodison Park to move to, was it Branbury or something? I don't know. I apologise to Everton fans, I've got the name wrong, but they're moving. So Arsenal fans.
Stadium is old, man. Goodison Park is an old stadium. I mean, I've been there. They need that, yeah. But I'm going to ask you, what do you think about the whole Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang situation? I know it's been a couple of weeks. The dust has settled. What are your opinions on that? What was going on there? I mean, it happened so quick in the end, but he got frozen out.
I think the die was cast last Christmas when Aubameyang and quite a few of the players were off with COVID, and they was getting mixed messages. He was having a tattoo, The beneficiary of Aubameyang and his
training a few times.
Were players like Smith Rowe, but there was no coming back after the Tottenham game. There was no coming back after the fact that not only does he leave him out the North London derby, he actually makes it public. He could have lied, like a lot of managers said he had an injury, and we'd have not batted an eyelid. But to actually say we left him out and left him on the bench because he was late was a call to arms. And the relationship was never going to repair itself after that. You've humiliated your captain, and let's face it, his form wasn't great. I think that kind of had an impact on his form. His form wasn't great before then, anyway, but it had an impact on his form coming into this season. So it was only a matter of time before there was going to be another fallout. Regarding the club. And I think the situation as well with his mum, his illnesses, and having to go to Spain, it was only inevitable that that was going to be made public. Another thing as well, I don't think Aubameyang would be too complimentary about our style of play because, as all intents and purposes, it wasn't conducive to him playing his best football.
No.
You would have been he would have been alarmed at the fact that Mesut Ozil couldn't get in the team. So he would have looked at that and he's thinking, hang on here, you've asked me to sign an enhanced contract of £350,000 a week saying we're going to do this. When my first season, we finished 8th. And in my second season, we lost our first 3 games. So that's not going to be good for Aubameyang's morale. And it wouldn't endear him to the manager because he's going to feel, one, on a personal perspective, you betrayed me by leaving me out of the North London derby and making it public and humiliating me, and then you've reneged on the promises you made when you asked me to sign a contract. So that relationship was never going to be repaired. Never.
No, because
even though I felt he played his best football on a left forward position. As a centre forward in the main man, he should be playing at number 9. But I personally had reservations in playing there. But that's the position he wants to play. So that was another reason, Joe, that's going to cause a sort of problem in the relationship. But Spurs, it probably started last Christmas, not just Christmas 2020, and the Spurs game was when we became aware of it, and there was no coming back after Tottenham. No way.
Of course, he was also, like you say, he wasn't playing the best. He wasn't in the best of form. But when we were dynamic in attack, when the ball would get to him, the whole move kind of broke down or it slowed down.
Well, you could say there's a penny for his fault. Can you imagine a penny for his faults when you think about it? That the team is seemingly getting better results, but we still have a goal scoring problem. And the person who was paid the most money because he was inadvertently his goals won us the FA Cup.
Yeah.
is thinking, well, it's kind of like one of those sort of like 360 situations. We're getting better results, but we still don't get enough goals. But we're grinding out results. And then people could say, well, if we had him, then we would have been third or even maybe third of the table above Chelsea. But I think, as much as I'm not a big fan of Arteta, we can't escape the fact that he wasn't playing well. He wasn't
No,
playing.
he wasn't. He was playing very bad for a long time. Some players, when they have a problem like with the manager, it actually fires them up. And they
Not
go out.
disrespect. I think it went down, and I think something's happened. There has to be a row. You know what I mean? Like, it has to be a row. The way Arteta goes on, I can only assume that he's probably told Aubameyang to apologise in front of all the players, and he got told where to go. And then once you tell your manager where to go, and you refuse to apologise, you're gone. Same thing with Guendouzi. I think the same sort of there.
But you see, he still has it. As soon as he went to Barcelona, he was banging in the goals. I mean,
yeah, but you know what? He's playing with better players.
When I saw it, he was just banging in the goals for fun, scoring for fun. I mean, that's what we lost, at the end of the day.
You know why he is, though? Is a bit of both. One, he's playing a better team with better players. Most important, another thing as well, because he's playing with better players. Barcelona are always on the front foot in games. They're always in the attack, so he's going to be in the game.
Yeah, that's true.
I like Tayyip says, "Will I take Hasenhuttl at Arsenal?"
Yeah,
interesting, because I know like there's a school of thought talking about him going to Man United. That recommended him. He's done an excellent job at Southampton, but to transition from Southampton to Arsenal, to a certain extent, it didn't really affect Pochettino when he went to Tottenham. But it depends on the situation. It depends on the players, and whether if you've got players who are like sponges. The same with Potter as well. You've got players with sponges who want to do well and feel that, and they respect their coach. Then Hasenhuttl and Potter wouldn't be out of place at Arsenal. But if you've got the wrong kind of characters at the club and got bad eggs in the dressing room, and we're saying that all the bad eggs are gone, then those guys would do a slightly better job than Mikel because they've got more experience. But if you had players like Mesut Ozil still there, they say that Guendouzi's a bit of a bad egg, and they're saying that Oba is a bad egg as well. I don't. And if the club's narrative is to be believed, then I do think that managers like Hasenhuttl and Potter will struggle because they're not Pep, they're not Klopp, and they're not Tuchel.
Big job, yeah. It's a big job too. I mean, it's a big responsibility. I think if Hasenhuttl came to Arsenal, he'd have a chance. I think going to United
let's not
have
forget what Poch did.
Endless problems in their team.
You got to remember what the Poch did when he first went to Tottenham. The reason why he thrived primarily is because he got rid of the bad eggs. And they were a team in his image. So, like the first season, they finished 5th. Second season, after that, they challenged for every major trophy available.
They did.
And somehow, with the team they had and the football they played, it's quite astonishing they didn't win anything. They came close, but
very close.
But that's not for the
final.
Yeah. A couple of FA Cup semi-finals, a couple of third places, second in the league. That was a superb team he had. I mean, Arsenal fans could be in denial all they like, but they're better than us by a mile.
And they do things better in the transfer market, and I'm going to be honest about it. I mean, they've moved above us and that too. They're quicker off the mark. We tend to be very lackadaisical with when we last year, summertime, the end of the season, we should have been looking to the new season. They should have already had a short list of the players they were looking for. We tend to do things very kind of slowly at the club. I don't know why.
Well, Arsenal have always been like that. You know, we will complain of that. To not in the first 10 years of Arsene, but towards the latter stage of Arsene's reign, we were always like complaining about the fact that we didn't move quickly enough in the transfer market. I mean, you look at all the players we've been linked with, right? The players we've been linked with, right? Eden Hazard. How long were we linked with him? He is at Chelsea.
About a year.
Mata, we were linked with him. Where does he end up? So there's loads of, even some of the players who didn't make it, like Jovetic, we were linked with him. You know what I mean? So it's not a case of Arsenal, right?
Lautaro, we were linked with Lautaro before he went to Inter, wasn't it? Or when he was at Inter and they saw Lukaku. But of course, when they saw Lukaku to Chelsea, they weren't going to sell Martinez as well. I mean, they weren't going to sell their top two strikers.
In terms of our scouting, we've got no problem identifying the players, but going through with getting them, it's always been a problem. You know, Vlahovic, I'm sure we've had our eye on him for quite a while, but Juventus got him over the line. Story of our lives. Arsene Wenger's got a black book of all the players he could have signed.
Yeah,
he can make another autobiography of it, can't he? It's true.
Yeah, he can. Del Boy got her in with a comment. I've no confidence in Edu to pull off deals either. Yeah,
agree with you.
Yeah, I agree with you too. As much as I hate to say it, he was a good player for the club, man, Edu. But the role he's in now, it's like Arteta. Shoe doesn't fit, man. They're both out of their depth. And that's basically the way it is. I mean, I remember when Arteta became manager. I don't know about you, but the fact that he was a former player at the club, they got it in past my defenses. I thought, okay, Arsenal manager, former player, Mikel Arteta. I knew him. That's why I wasn't too he'd just come from Manchester City. He'd been assistant to Pep. You know what I mean? He got in. I have a question for you, right? Do you think we're going to get top 4? Do you think we can actually get top 4? You think
mathematically, yes. Mathematically, yes. But the thing about it right there is that we need to stop talking about it and just play the games. Don't look too forward. Take one game at a time. These are there's some really hard games if you look on it, and they're games where, you know, if we don't play to the best of our ability, we could lose them. They're games where if we play to the best of our ability, we may not get over the line. But one thing about it is don't forget about, you know, the last game of the season, Everton, May the 22nd. Think about what Leicester this Sunday. You really have to take one game at a time, especially, you know, when you're playing teams who go for the title, teams who are trying to get the top 4, teams getting to Europe, and teams trying to stay up. You know, teams know about Arsenal now. They know about the fact that we're going for a purple patch. So they're going to present a lot of things. There's going to be teams going to sit back at the Emirates, and unlike Brentford, they're going to have the quality to, you know, even nick something. So we've got to be really careful. We can't look too far, you know, because I want to be able to say yes, but the problem is that we've been down this road before.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Liverpool game, like we've got Leicester, Liverpool are waiting, United are waiting, Chelsea are waiting. I honestly think the Liverpool game, I don't want to be too negative, but I think they'd beat us any day of the week they play us, and it doesn't matter where. My opinion, they're very good, man. They're very good right now. I mean, we can rake that off, maybe.
You know why? Because with experience of winning the Champions League and winning the league, they're one of those teams, right, that even though you don't associate Liverpool with a team that can grind out a 1-0 and shut up shop, they can do that. you know, their performance at the Emirates is probably one of the best away
The
performances.
EFL, yeah, the EFL Cup, yeah, they really put us to the sword.
That was one of the best performances I've seen because you know they
Professional.
did a lot of things that you don't associate with football. But one of the things that they did is they were bloody ruthless. They identified that Tomiyasu as a weakness, and you know what? They thought, right, we'll have him in, and they were ruthless in it. And then when we try to get back in the game, they slammed the door shut.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's one of those things where if we beat them, that would be a fantastic result because, you know, that would be a statement.
That would be our best game this season if we can beat them. But the way they're playing, I don't know. But the team have improved a lot. I mean, regardless if you're Arteta in or Arteta out, they have improved to a certain extent.
You know what? It's confidence. They're winning. They're winning. You know, and you know, the fact is that when they're human, isn't it? When you've got pundits rating you, rating the fact what the job you're doing, rating your manager, you know, if that doesn't motivate you, nothing's going to motivate you. Because you want to prove every week that these guys are right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
One of the things when you talk about improvement in Arsenal, one of the things that will stick out for you, probably will stick out for me as well. We're hard to beat. Can't deny it.
We're difficult to beat, yeah, since Ramsdale came in with the back four with Gabriel. Like I said, Thomas Partey has played his part. I still think we needed a defensive midfielder to come in there. I honestly don't think we've no one that's got that physicality. We're lacking a bit of power, a little bit of phicality. It's not the be all and end all in football. Tactics, technical skill on the ball.
It can and it can bring in our fullbacks into play. But you know, if we win the midfield battle, because you know the way football's been playing nowadays, it is the fact that you want your fullbacks to be your aggressors.
Yeah.
Because what's happening right now is that tactically, it's very hard to break teams down through the middle. You know what I mean? Because what's happening is every player, regardless of, and it's even like the attacking players, know their jobs off the ball. And so what they do is that they say, go down the flanks, because you cross the ball, we know not only how to clear the ball, we know that there's going to be someone who's going to be in the second part of our press who's going to get the ball and try and have someone running off it and hit you on the break. Every team, right, knows their jobs off the ball. The only team that refuses to do it is Man United. Hence the fact that they're not running away. If Man United played proper tactical football, we would have been having a chance of being in the top four. And that's not a criticism about us. It's because of the fact they got top players. That's not down Arsenal. But if you look at the money they spent, and you look at the names and the pedigree these players have, if they weren't prima donnas and listened to their coach, Jesus Christ, they'd be out of it. They might even challenge.
They spent the same amount of money as Manchester City, 1.2 billion, I think, in the last 4 years. That's what I was reading. They spent the exact same amount as Man City, exact same.
The problem is that it's not Sir Alex's club anymore. They want all the traditions, but the thing is that Man United are stubborn, and stubborn to a certain extent is that they don't seem to understand that you have to have the infrastructure behind the scenes in order to compete. Because I had it before. They're the ones who had the youth set up with Beckham, Scholes,
Scholes, Nicky Butt,
Nicky Butt, the Neville brothers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Players like that, and even players like Robbie Savage made it elsewhere, but he was in their youth, like Ben Thornley.
Yeah, Robbie Savage,
players like that. John O'Kane, all the players they had all that kind of youth set up, and it was through Eric Harrison and Brian Kidd. So they were leading the way, but teams caught up with that as well.
They keep playing players, though, that are out of form. I mean, what's the English centre-back that plays for Man United? He's getting Harry.
Maguire.
Yeah. They keep playing players that aren't playing. No offense, I'm not picking on him, but they're playing guys that aren't playing well right now. They keep playing him, keep persisting with him.
He's a
He's not
captain. He's
playing
a captain.
well.
Captain.
Yeah,
The problem is he's playing so
well.
the problem is that if you've got to strike, if you want to kill a player like Maguire, don't give him any protection from your back, from your midfield. Let players with pace run at him, and take and because simple reason is that he's a strong runner, but he's got no pace. But if a defender's got no pace, the first thing you do is protect him.
Yeah,
protect. Did John Terry didn't have any pace, but I tell you one thing, he got protection from his midfield.
Yeah, he
to
did.
a certain extent that he did what he did best.
He was tremendous in the box. Then he was tremendous man marking. Tremendous.
Won his headers,
Tremendous.
made sure that that he didn't let anyone get tight, and he brought the ball out and started brought the ball out, because he had a good left foot and right foot. And he was, there were times when he used to do crossfield long passing with both feet, and that's his strength. And Harry Maguire, if you take away his Man United form, the fact that he got the move to Man United is because of his form for Leicester and England, where albeit at back three, but he was fantastic there. And Man City were in for him as well.
Yeah, they were. The thing is, though, it's like you said, he always kind of gets, not just against Manchester City, they have a tremendous attack, but he always kind of gets caught, like you said, in no man's land. He's kind of halfway between retreating into the box and coming out. They kind of play behind him. They run past him. If
you're doing two people's jobs, you think about it. If you're a defender, right? First thing they say to you, man, check your man, but you still got to watch the ball.
Yeah.
Now, if you've got someone in front of you not doing their job in midfield, and you're forced in that situation where two things the guy could do. He can either take you down the sides out of your moaners or go at you. So basically, if he's got pace, he can do one or the other. Either way, Harry Maguire is vulnerable. And because he gets exposed, that's when you're not going to see the best of him, because the simple reason is that Man United are not playing a way to fix his get the best out of Harry Maguire. That's what they're saying. Play Varane, but play someone pacey with Varane, because the way Man United play, risk and reward, and I'm telling you, there's more risk and reward.
Yeah, they're getting
someone like Varane or someone like Bailly alongside him, who even if they're out of position, because they've got a pace, their pace will get them out of trouble and they're out of danger. Harry Maguire hasn't got that. So that's why they're calling for Harry Maguire to be dropped. And let's face it, Man United can't carry players, and to a certain extent, if you're carrying one, all right. If you're carrying back 3 or 4, not possible.
Yeah, what happened to them against City is going to happen, because they've fallen apart in the last couple of weeks. Even with coming in.
You know why they're falling apart is because they put themselves under pressure, because they've gone 1-0 in games and not seeing them out. 1-0 against Southampton, you should see it out. 1-0 up against Burnley, see it out. If they had won all those games, if they tried to turn those draws into wins, then the City game, they wouldn't be under pressure. They put themselves under pressure. You shouldn't be drawing, even Watford. You should be blowing them apart.
Yeah.
And so with Arsenal beating Watford, they're under pressure.
They got, as the game against Watford, the longer the game went on, the worse it got for them. Watford were getting confident. I mean,
did you see it live? Do you get live games in the Republic?
No, I didn't see it live because of work, but I checked it afterwards.
Do you actually get live 3 o'clock kickoffs in the Republic?
I'm actually in London.
Are you in London? I thought
because I thought you were in London, but I'm Irish. Yeah, I'm Irish.
I know, but I know, like when in the Republic, like you used to get. I haven't been to the Republic for a long, long time, but I know there was, like when I was out there, they had 1 week it was radio television, and the next week it was
yeah.
But we're talking about 14 years ago, maybe 40
Yeah,
or
we
50.
always used to get match of the day, but the best time for me was like the cup games, like FA Cup on a Saturday and Sunday. We would get them live.
All right,
That
but
was,
you,
that was
you
really
what's
the best
that?
thing. Now it's
You know,
all Sky Sports and pay-per-view.
yeah, but you know, like in the Republic, you get BBC Northern Ireland, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, and
Yes.
BBC One too. Yeah, BBC One.
Yeah, but what's happening if you'll get it through Northern Ireland rather than like you won't get BBC London, you'll get BBC Northern Ireland because that's what it was like when I was out there.
Both. I think we used to get both. But
Yeah,
I used to love watching Match of the Day. I still do. I love Match of the Day. I don't know, just the roundup, the analysis, the banter. I love it. It's just like it's a part of culture, football culture. Yeah, I love Match of the Day. It's exciting, you know. And if it's a top game, they could have 20, 25 minutes of highlights. You know, if it's the big game. But yeah, I'm just gonna ask you last question before I let you go, man. Henry or Kane?
You know what? Henry is the best player that's ever worn an Arsenal shirt for me. He's the best player that's ever worn a Premiership. But I think in terms of Harry Kane is that for a modern player to stay at a club like Tottenham for as long as he's done and score that amount of goals, I can understand the fanfare about it. But Arsenal fans and Chelsea fans are always going to say, "Well, what you won?" You know what I mean? It's getting silly now, isn't it? I mean,
he wanted to go to Manchester City, and chairman blocked it. You could see it
from a neutral perspective, and I hate Spurs with passion, and I'm loving it. But from a neutral perspective, it's ridiculous that Spurs are now going to be 15 years without winning a trophy. It's just not possible. If you call yourself a big club, not to win anything. I mean, Everton call themselves a big club, but they haven't won anything for 27 years. But come on, Spurs, when you talk about big clubs and teams that play in Europe, it's ridiculous for a club of that stature to go 15 years without winning anything.
Even the top division of football, they haven't been champions in, I think, since 1962, is it? 61, 62.
61, yeah.
Painful. He was black and white, and it's just, I don't know.
Joanne's asked a question. If I could have one manager at Arsenal from the past, who would it be? Bob Paisley. Bob Paisley, because Liverpool's success was phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, he was good. Me? I'd go for George Graham right now. Just get a couple of 1-0s and win the league. I'd be happy with that.
George Graham and Arsene Wenger turned Arsenal into what they were before. But if you look at Arsenal's history, and if you go for it forensically, it has been great. We didn't win anything from 53 to 70. We didn't win the league from 71 to 89. We hadn't won the league since 2004. And in between that, we went 8 years without winning anything in 79 or 87. And we went 9 years without winning anything under Arsene Wenger from 2005 to 2014. So in terms of Arsenal's history, there's a lot of times where we've gone, the cupboard's been bare, and that we should be able to. And what we need to do at Arsenal Football Club is repair that. I take it as an affront that Chelsea have won the lot since Abramovich been there. I think it hurts me as an Arsenal fan watching Chelsea, who are a club that we were ahead of, go run past us. It hurts.
They've done it with style. They've done it with panache. They've won well, and they've really put themselves on the map. What's going to happen to them now? But going back to Wenger,
tell you what's going to happen. If we want to sort of take what we want to happen, and go with reality, we could say that the club's in such an excellent state off the field. Financially, they're in the black. He said that he doesn't want to call in the debt, so they're going to be fine, whoever they get. As long as they follow the blueprint, and I'm not talking about spending money, get the best people behind the scenes, and do not mess, and make sure that if they spend money, on a new stadium, expanding Stamford Bridge, it doesn't, take away financially from what they got to do. Because
I think we're talking about 1.5 billion is going to be put into that. But the new guy takeover, he might put in 1.5 billion. So they're going to be.
Well, yeah, they're going to need to. But what's going to happen is that we've seen with Spurs and we've seen with Arsenal that does have an impact on the overall what's happened with the stadium. So if they're not going to rebuild Stamford Bridge, and what they're going to need is what Abramovich is trying to organise: Chinese investment and naming rights, because they don't have investment; they borrow from the bank. That's where the effect will come in. So whoever buys, so they've got to be savvy.
I'm going to let you go now. I just want one more question, right? And I'll let you go. The question is, Arteta, how long would you give him? I mean, would you wait until the end of the season if he gets us in the Champions League?
Well, you're asking the wrong person, because the simple reason is that I don't believe he's suitable for the job in the first place. He should have gone last season when he was struggling. He probably should have gone early in the season. But he's the man in possession. So what the situation is that the results have to dictate themselves. But if we're gonna, but if you've asked me now, I don't want him at the club. I want someone with a better pedigree. And Taib's right. I don't want him here. I can't. I'm not going to change my mind because the results are going our way, and even if we get top four, because I don't believe long term he's going to get us challenging for the league and challenging Europe. No, so if I don't think he's going to do that, why would I? I won't give him any time, and that's irrespective of the top four, because I still believe that the results that he's provided us with are good results for Villa, Crystal Palace, Queen's Park Rangers, and in other clubs, but they're not good enough for return for Arsenal Football Club. I'm not going to change my mind because things are going well. I'm not going to downplay the fact that we're going for a purple patch, but overall, I don't think he's the right man to take us forward.
Problems are still there, they're still there.
And I believe he's using Arsenal as a stepping stone for something bigger. I can't change my mind on that.
Yeah, I feel the same. He's just using us to get the experience. I honestly hope that we get the job to Patrick Vieira at some point.
Yeah, he's entitled to do that. There's no friends in football.
Yeah, he's entitled to do that. Yeah. Thing is, we gave him the job. Kroenke is at the club. He's another problem. Listen, I just want to thank you for coming on, Kenny. I appreciate it.
Thank you for thinking of me.
No problem. I texted you out of the blue, and you were a gentleman. You were nice enough to respond in kind and be, you're approachable. And I'd like to thank you for coming on.
I think it is. Not everyone's the same. I prefer it, and I always sell the fact that if people are contacting you, answer the question at least. You know what I mean? Answer them, because
at least.
Yeah, because I think sometimes, right? People, if they like what you're doing and they want to say, let's have a chat. The reason why they watch your stuff is because they think that they know you, and they think you're approachable. Be approachable. You know what I mean?
You are approachable. Yeah, thank you very much. I feel the same, and thank you. Like I said, I contacted you out of the blue, and you were decent enough to reply and to come on.
That's no problem.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Hopefully, won't be the last time.
Definitely. Yeah. In an ideal world, my ideal world, whoever the Arsenal manager, I want to be in a situation where I'm at the Islington Town Hall and we're parading the European Cup. That's the ideal situation. I've seen us win every trophy going, except for the European Cup. And, I was there in Paris in 2006. And I'll tell you one thing, right? I never appreciated it as much as I should have. But now I've seen Chelsea win the league. I'll tell you one thing. I would kill for us to win the Champions League before I die.
Yeah, me too. Me too, man. That was 2006 was a gut wrencher. We were so close. We were given as good as we were getting until the second half.
Even with 10 men, we should have won it. Henry missed that chance.
Yeah.
Maybe Spurs fans are saying that if Kane was that position, he wouldn't have missed it. Maybe that's their revenge.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, but it is what it is.
Both, there's a Chelsea fan who went, he had a montage of my guy versus your guy. So he had Didier Drogba getting his medal, and he had Harry Kane and Henry getting the losing medals. I could have smacked him one.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's really rubbing salt in the wound, but yeah, man, Henry was a great player. We had a good time with him. 2 league championships. I mean, that Champions League final could have went either way. It really could have.
Easy.
What about when we went to the Bernabeu, when we beat Real at the Bernabeu? We went to the San Siro and we beat Inter Milan at the San Siro. We had a good run. We did all right. You know?
Well, he won a Champions League eventually with Barcelona, but he should have really been with us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it should have been. There was also some decisions in that match that were questionable at times. I think he was getting really manhandled and fouled off the ball, but it is what it is.
The referee was the worst referee for that occasion. I'll never forgive that referee. I hate him even now.
They favoured them too. They got away with things. The defenders, like I said, they were kicking Henry a bit. But at the end of the day, great player for the club, great memories, and we'll be back at some point. I know we will. The club will be back.
I hope so.
Challenging. When Arteta's gone. All right. I'd like to thank you for coming on. Yeah, I appreciate it
very much.
Enjoy the rest of your night, and talk to you soon. Huh? Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. See ya. Thanks for having me, mate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Peace.
Nice.